With the highest youth unemployment rate in the world, South Africa is facing a vast challenge that needs to be addressed urgently. Only 1 in 3 young people of working age is employed. This not only affects the individual, but their families. On today's show, we dive into how we build new entrepreneurs, how do we develop a lasting entrepreneurial mindset. My guest is Taynita Harilal, a young South African entrepreneur and academic achiever, creating her show Bunnies in the Burbs in 2015. The show has since grown and is now hosted on the streaming platform Viva Nation TV. Taynita is a product of an entrepreneurial family and as a result is passionate about wealth creation on the continent. Welcome, Taynita. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being our guest today. What do you think it was about your background that allowed an environment that fostered these entrepreneurial initiatives?
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited. So firstly, I think that when it comes to my personal experience, I'm really fortunate because, like you said, I come from an entrepreneurial home. So my mom has her own business and I've watched her work since we were 7. So her office was in our house. And so the concept of owning your own business didn't feel foreign to me. It felt actually the most natural. And the older I grew, the more I realized the spaces that she integrated us into were entrepreneurial spaces. So I was allowed into rooms with women like you, with young South Africans and also international businessmen and women who really push the boundaries of working within a box. So going to university, getting a degree, and then getting a job just really didn't sit well with me. And I think that's genuinely a lot of that is attributed to the environment I grew up in, because I think that an entrepreneurial mindset and an entrepreneurial spirit can be learned. And if you're put into an environment where it's normalized and where you are told to express yourself and try different things and you're allowed to fail, because I think failure is okay. It's the best way that we learn. It allowed me to try these things while I was at home. I started Bunnies in the Burbs in 2015, so we're still in matric. And I did it all the way through. I'm still doing it now, all the way through my varsity honors and now doing my master's in entrepreneurship and new venture creation. But it was because I had that home base. I had that support system of women, especially strong African women who really backed me, who really shared information with me so freely, which I think is, I'm really, really lucky, because not a lot of young people can be allowed into these spaces, and I really am passionate about changing that.
That's amazing. So I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. I see that you studied. You have a master's, or you're studying towards your master's.
Yes.
And you haven't held back basically academically in any way, which is also fascinating for entrepreneurs, because there's a tendency for entrepreneurs not to believe that they need to study entrepreneurship or to even delve into it from an academic perspective. How has that changed your perception on entrepreneurship?
Oh, it's my favorite thing that I've done so far. So I did my undergrad in international relations, African literature, and media studies, and then I did development studies and international relations as my honors, and then I decided to do my master's at Wits Business School because I wanted to be able to bring in this humanity side that I'm so passionate about, that I love so dearly, and merge it with business. And studying entrepreneurship is not always a common choice, right? Like you said, it's not always something that people think about intentionally studying, because it's on the job. You learn it as you go. It's a feeling. It's networking. And a part of me thought that, and I got into this course, and while it is purely academic, it is really, really focused on theory. It opened up how important it is to back yourself with knowledge, because it taught me the importance of not maybe the books, but understanding the ethos of your business, understanding when to enter the market, how to enter the market, being backed with the knowledge of, if I enter into a room, I can hold my own. And yes, you can learn these things on the fly, but there's something so incredibly special about being in a concentrated group of people with lecturers who are so passionate about what they do. And I do think that that's a misconception that hopefully will change, because entrepreneurial teaching, entrepreneurial education is so important, especially if we're saying that that's going to be the answer to youth unemployment. And it's one thing to tell somebody to start a business, but it's another thing to equip this person with the tools of how to do so, but more than the tools, with the drive and ambition to do so. Because the biggest thing that we learn in my course is that it's not always going to work, and a true entrepreneur and a true entrepreneurial spirit is about fighting through that failure. It's about having resilience. It's about taking your concept, innovating, changing it. And I mean, COVID-19 showed us that more than anything. Like, if your business wasn't able to adapt, if it wasn't able to change, sadly it got left behind, which is, it's not the right way. And I mean, it's a global pandemic. It's unprecedented. Nobody thought that we were going to be here, but it's the one thing that we learned, that like an entrepreneurial cognition and an entrepreneurial mindset is about resilience. It's about taking chances. And I think somebody can tell you that, but reading it in a book and having a safe space to practice is so incredible. It was okay for my mom to work. It was okay that we had tutors. It was okay that maybe we had to do more sports at school because she needed the extra time to pick us up. But that doesn't make anybody a bad parent. I think it normalizes the behavior of fighting for your dream and going for it. Because once you become a parent, it doesn't mean that you don't have dreams anymore.
On a couple of things that I actually want you to delve into, things like a safe place to practice, some of the tools that you learned, and going back to your parents, what did they do in your home environment to create that safe place to practice? What tools did they give you, and what can a parent watching this saying, heck, I want my daughter to come out like that? What can they do to create that environment that gives you that drive to want to do these things?
Right. So I think both my parents created an environment where talking about money, talking about business was never taboo. So I would watch my mom work from the age of 7, and her business was in our home. So my brother and I would get picked up from school, and we walked through her office into our house, and watching her work, watching her adapt and change, and still be a really good mom, still take us to our sports, still be as present as she could. But also, I think they created a space where it was okay for my mom to work. It was okay that we had tutors. It was okay that maybe we had to do more sports at school because she needed the extra time to pick us up. But that doesn't make anybody a bad parent. I think it normalizes the behavior of fighting for your dream and going for it. Because once you become a parent, it doesn't mean that you don't have dreams anymore. It doesn't mean that things are not going to work out. And I think as a child of that, like, the best thing that a parent could do is model that behavior. So model what you want your child to do. So my mom was always really, really good about packing a bag. So she would pack a bag and come to the office, even though it was in our house. She would set times of, this is when I'm in a meeting. This is where demarcated areas, but also she opened up these spaces to us. So she would, if we had career days at school or we had like tuck shop days, she would be like, okay, well, how much money are you going to put in? How much money are you going to pay for services? How much money are you going to pay for lights? And even if it was like 2 rand or 3 rand or 10 rand, when I was younger, I was like, that's not fair. All the other parents are like just giving their kids money and they're just doing everything. But the older I get, the more I'm just like, that is such a good practice to teach someone that, it's not just about making money. It's about putting things away. It's about who are you employing? How did you make the popcorn? Where did the lights come from? How did you sell it? How much did you make on each bag? And small things like that. But the safe space that they created was really allowing me in. So from the ages of 7 to I'm now going to be 24 in a few months, I went to work with my mom. So whenever she did an event, when she had Sanderbank Joy Jazz or the Newtown Junction Mall, I would spend my weekends with them. I would do admin. I would be a runner. I would do literally anything in the business that needed to be done that somebody else couldn't do. I would do that. I was the lowest of the low in the business, but I've slowly worked my way up. I've slowly learned the ropes, and I think that that's a concept that we learn about family business and entrepreneurship, that these big family businesses, the reason they run so well is because there is no separation. There's that, this is the business, this is how it runs, this is how you learn it. It's never been a taboo. So if I told my parents I want to be an entrepreneur, I think that would fit them and make their hearts feel a little bit more at ease than saying I want to go work a 9 to 5, because that's what was modeled in our house. My dad did work a 9 to 5, but now he works in our family business. And I think that creating spaces where it's okay to be an entrepreneur, where it's not a taboo, where it's not a survivalist choice. It's not like, oh, well, I couldn't find a job anywhere else, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but it's an intentional choice that you're making, comes directly from what's modeled in your home, from the people that you're able to speak to, and also from my parents were not afraid to tell me when an idea wasn't developed enough, or they weren't afraid to hurt my feelings, because I think that sometimes people feel like they have to shelter their kids, and 100% yes, like this is a safe space, I'm so loved here, but I think that I learned as an entrepreneur, you have to just be able to take the criticism, because it's only gonna make you better. And if nobody's gonna criticize you, I think you should be a little bit worried.
So there was like an element of tough love in the way they raised you, and at the same time, it's this like really loving environment. So you know that it's coming from a great place. It's not
100%
down in any way.
100%. Like, this home is so filled with love, and it's the only reason I was able to study and do Bunnies in the Burb and work in the business at the same time, because my support system at home is so strong. There's always somebody to be there if I need to talk. There's always somebody to help me pick up the slack. There's always a shoulder I can cry on. It's such a safe place that the transparency is so integral to the way that we work as a family, because transparency occurs with love, but it also occurs with the criticism as well. And it's not in an ugly way, it's in a way that's like, I want you to be the best that you can be, so let's try and figure this out in a way that's loving. But yeah,
that's incredible perspective. And very well thought out as well. So Tay, I just want to say thanks once again for being my guest on this show today, and I'm sure that everybody watching here today is going to just get those little nuggets that they're going to take back and kind of implement in their own lives. So I'm really appreciative of your time, and thanks for being my guest once again. And thank you everybody for watching. Thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you again next time.
So my mother, when we were growing up, she basically used to say, don't eat it if you don't own it. every time I'll be like, can I have an apple? And then I'll be thinking, do I need to own a farm? Like, it used to be really interesting conversations we have at home. But that shaped my thinking, and that has, over time, made me question everything I use. So I have Vodacom, I own FNB, I have Richmond. I don't have a Richmond watch, but I have Richmond because I like the idea of expensive watches. But you can go and buy a Richmond and make me rich through the shares. So she'll always say, rather own the share of what you eat or what you use. That way, you are not only a consumer, but also you are participating in the economy in terms of getting dividends and interest and all of these things.